It's Miss Passowit. Welcome back to Supreme Science. Today, again, we are talking about variables. My niece actually, she was watching the other variables video that I made, and she was like, I still didn't have any idea what you were talking about. Remember, I told you that 8th graders, and actually she's in 10th grade, and she was kind of like, she's like, I think you need a little more like background information. Okay, so science teachers hopefully know what's going on, but for anybody that doesn't, when you do an experiment, you have 3 different variables. There's an independent variable, dependent, and then like a constant or a controlled variable. And you only change one thing at a time. Okay, you only have one independent variable. So this is how I help my students remember what the different variables are, because of course, variables, most difficult thing for 8th graders or any student to understand, hands down in science. Okay, so anytime you can incorporate potty humor into an 8th grade or middle school classroom, you are sure to get quite a response. And hopefully they will pay attention longer than 20 seconds, because they do say that middle schoolers have the attention span of a goldfish. So here we go. So in order to teach variables, I use a diaper. Why a diaper? Because like I said, potty humor. It's all about potty humor. Okay, I think I came up with this idea on my own, but I may have seen this someplace else and copied it, but I've never seen another science teacher wearing a diaper. So, okay, now I'm going to slide over here to my poster, trying not to let my diaper fall off. And as you can see right here, I have the letter I, which of course he stands for independent variable. And guess what? He's got a diaper. This is my dependent variable. He's hanging on for dear life. And this is my constant variable, and he's crying, and I'm going to tell you why he's crying. Okay, so the independent variable is the variable that you, the scientist, changes. So if you are actually doing something, that is the independent variable. The dependent variable changes depending on what this guy's doing, hence hanging on for dear life. So as the independent variable changes, the dependent variable is going to change. All right? And then the constant variable, he has to stay the same. You've got to have some kind of like something that you don't change. And he's crying because crying begins with a C and constant begins with a C. So the constant variable cries because he doesn't get to change. All right, here we go. So the independent variable is going to change. It's going to be what you change. All right, so let's pretend that I'm going to test like the amount of sunlight on a plant, and if leaving a plant in like 5 hours of sunlight will help it grow better than leaving it in 10 hours of sunlight. What would I, the scientist, be changing? I would be in control of physically what? So it's whatever the scientist is going to be changing, like changing the diaper. So I would be in control of putting the plant either in 5 hours of sunlight or in 10 hours of sunlight. I would be physically changing the amount of sunlight. That means that's the independent variable. Can I control how fast they grow? No. That's going to be dependent on how much sunlight they get. So the amount of growth is going to be the dependent variable. So independent variable is what you change. Dependent variable is what's going to happen based on like where it is or where the location is. It's basically like your data, like what you're going to measure, the numbers you're going to be writing down. And then a constant variable. What do you think a constant variable could be in this experiment? Soil. Can't change the soil. The amount of water. Can't change the amount of water. And anything else you can think of that you would have to keep the same. Oh, the same plant. Yes, like if you were doing lima bean plants, you have to have the same lima bean plant. So this is hopefully will help you a little bit in helping your students remember what the independent, dependent, and constant variables are. Check out my other videos and have a great day.